Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to the Literally Me podcast. Today, with a very special episode about a film that sort of started it all, a film that gave Ryan Gosling the Literally Me status that he has today. And that, of course, is the film Drive. But before we get into it, I am, of course, Dino, and I'm joined by my buddy Tristan. And Tristan, we did this already. We forgot to press record. So we're doing it again. We got into like I think 10 or 15 minutes before Tristan thankfully noticed. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, doing good again, as you already know, and I know you're doing just fine as well. Um, but yeah, here we are again. Third time's a charm. So yeah, good to be back. Good to be talking about this movie, Drive. Just finished watching it, maybe within the last half hour or so. I know you just finished it within the last hour or so, or something like that, and um, yeah, excited to talk about it. And to be honest, I wasn't even that excited to rewatch it this time around. For some weird reason, I was like, I was like in crazy stupid love mode in my head. I was
yeah.
like, I really want to rewatch that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, here we are. Very excited to have watched it today and excited to talk about it. But do we have any news or anything before we?
We do,
I don't know why I'm
and we
pretending asking. I know we have news. We
just
talked about it already,
yeah
but we'll talk about it again.
know about it already. But yeah, we have a couple of news and one involving our boy Ryan Gosling, and that is what's probably going to be the next film he shoots and his next project, and that's going to be Project Hail Mary, which is directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who have done like the 21, 22 Jump Street films, the Lego
Yeah,
films.
those are the guys who wrote all the Lego movies, right?
Yeah,
And
you
Cloudy with
know
a
about
Chance of
this,
Meatball.
man.
I know
You're
these guys, yes.
and yeah, the Spider-Verse films, obviously. And yeah, the film, so there's a little plot tagline. It's based on a book by the guy who wrote The Martian. And I haven't read the book yet, but I'm going to soon. And the little synopsis is the film follows a man who wakes up from a coma afflicted with amnesia and soon remembers he was sent 12 light years away from Earth to save humanity. And this film is set to come out in 2026. And yeah, what are your thoughts? Maybe you can recap them
Yeah,
once.
no, yeah, I do think it's super exciting that he's doing a movie like this and not just like an IP or franchise or big. I mean, I'm sure this will have a really large budget, but
Mhm.
it seems far more original than the Gray Man to me, or the Gray Man 2 or fucking like kind of all the usual picks he's been making as of late.
Mhm.
But I'm really excited. I'm excited to see him step back into the astronaut role. I guess I feel like we got that, so it wasn't like, oh wow, the astronaut thing. Like we already got that. Like, but the story itself seems really interesting, or the plot of it rather. But when you read the book, you'll have to give me your thoughts. Very, don't give me any spoilers, anything like that. I want to go in blind, even in terms of like the feel of it. I kind of want to just go in not knowing anything, but I do want you to tell me like, oh, this will be interesting to see Gosling in or not, or just give me a read like you're gonna be pissed at this movie or you're gonna like this
Yeah.
movie when it comes out.
I'm gonna warn you if it's not your style, but if not, I'm not gonna get too much into it. Just the general tone of the
Okay.
film. And I'm excited
Yeah.
to read it because I like The Martian. I like the tone of that film. It had some comedic bits, but still, it
Yeah.
was as a whole like a more grounded film. In that way, grounded. It's set on Mars with a guy
Mm.
like planting trees there, not trees, but potatoes. I think he grows there, if
Potatoes. Yeah.
I remember correctly. But yeah, I'm very excited about this project.
Yeah. It's cool. It sure beats the Gray
The
Man 2,
Gremlin,
as I mentioned, or
yeah,
Ocean's 9 or
which
whatever.
I think was
Ocean's
announced.
2.
Oh, yeah, the Ocean's whatever like main prequel where he
Yeah.
plays the father. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, and I don't think he has a film coming out after The Fall Guy, so I think this is gonna
Yeah.
be
I
the
don't think
next one
so.
because as we discussed previously, I don't think he filmed anything for like after that or like meanwhile. So, but we don't know.
Yeah, I feel like for right now he's probably doing like um yeah, because it's the oh
Hold up.
hmm
Okay, we got something.
do we so he's not acting, but it
Uh-huh.
says that he is still executive producer of the Wolfman movie.
I think that's probably just like because he was involved with the pre-production.
Okay.
I don't
I'm
think he
sure,
has
yeah, I'm
much
sure it means nothing. Most executive producer roles you really don't do anything. But okay, I just saw it there when I was looking because it still was popped up
because that was
as
supposed to be his
upcoming.
next film, but that fell through. We discussed
Yeah.
last week. So yeah, I think this will be his next film. So we won't get a new Ryan Gosling film until 2026, it seems.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, we shall wait.
Mhm. We
But we
still
don't
have
have
a
to wait
couple.
long because at least the Fall Guy is coming.
Yep, and I think 2 weeks, as we previously said, something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
May
we
6th, I
have,
think.
yeah, something like that. And then we have another piece of news, which, as the coincidence of this podcast always do, we discussed about Damien Chazelle being in director's jail. And as it seems, he's not just getting out of jail, he's staying there and making a film set in a prison, which is very funny because we joked about it. But yeah, what do you think about this news?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm totally here for it. It seems like a completely different approach to a Chazelle movie. I mean, I'm sure it'll be very much him and like that, but it's an
Mhm.
interesting playground, I guess, for him to experiment in and whatnot. And I'm super excited to see what he makes of it and with it. It's yeah, I'm here for it entirely. What about
Mhm.
you?
I think it's very funny that they announced it this way because usually they would just say like Damien Chazelle is making a new film. And I don't think they would
Yeah.
give anything, but because of like all the memes about him being in director's jail, I think this is a very clever way to get like
Oh
just
yeah.
people talking about it and joking about it and getting more even more excited about it. So I thought it was funny that they included set in a jail. So
He's low
that's
key a troll. I feel
yep.
like he kind of did that on purpose. I can't lie.
That would be funny if you heard like all the people trying to get him out of director's jail and he's like, I'm gonna make a film set in prison.
In jail. That'd be
Yes.
I would not put it past him that he would have thought of that. He's like I said the other day to you on Instagram, Hollywood's greatest troll, maybe.
Yep. There was a funny tweet I saw with you've never seen like the Josh Trank Fantastic Four like Fan Four Stick film?
Which one is that?
The Michael B.
Michael
Jordan,
B. Jordan?
yeah, Miles
That's not
Teller.
Chris Evans, right?
No, that those are the old ones. That new
Okay.
one,
No, I never
which
saw the Miles Teller, the one that got absolutely obliterated.
good. But there's like in the ending, there's a scene that people always meme where I think the thing Ben Grimm says like, "Oh, that's fantastic," and Terrell's character is like, "Say that again," and he's like, "That's fantastic." He's like, "That's fantastic," and there's four of us, and it just ends with like the Fantastic Four thing, just incredibly bad. And I saw a tweet of someone being like, "We have to get Damien Chazelle out of director's jail," and then Damien Chazelle saying like, "Say that again," and I thought that was very funny.
That's funny. That's also a hilarious thing for the Fantastic Four. I feel like that has to be a joke, right? Or were they taking it completely seriously?
The scene is like set up as like it's trying to be serious in a way, and it's
Oh, I see.
I don't like
That's
talking
funny.
about this
I gotta
film
watch
at
that.
all.
Who plays Doctor Doom in that? Is Doctor Doom in that movie?
He is, and he was, dude. At the beginning, they said he's gonna be called Victor Domashev, but then so many
Oh,
like fans backlashed, and then they changed it. Like they don't even say his name in the film. They definitely changed it a couple times. That
oh,
film just went through so many changes, even with like there's a very big like VFX sequence that from the first trailer to the actual film changed like completely. Just the look of
interesting.
it, the colors, everything. So that film just I think the studio just messed with it a lot. But I don't think it would have
I
been that great in the beginning from what I gathered either.
I came across it randomly on Letterboxd the other day. I don't know how, and I saw that it had like a obnoxiously low rating, like 1.7 or something like that. And I was shocked. I was like, I mean, I heard that it wasn't great, but I didn't realize it was like a meme movie. Like once you're under the 2 on Letterboxd, I feel like you were just a meme then, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably because it's based on such a popular franchise and there's so many comic book fans and just like Marvel fans in
Yeah,
general. I
it
think
makes
they
sense.
tend to shit on a film more because it's definitely not a good film, but it's not like that bad. It's just very boring and bland in a way.
I see, I see, I
It's
see.
not, for me at least, it's
It
not
has
laugh
those like
out loud.
memeable moments, I guess.
It has a couple
Yeah,
like that ending, but it's not a film that I would like put on and just laugh and have a good time, even though it's not as good. It's just
sure.
like, yeah, it's wasted potential and just not that good. But it's not.
Yeah,
There's definitely people giving it worse ratings just because they love the Fantastic Four or Marvel that much.
yeah, 100%. Hmm.
But yeah, those are the news. Do you have anything? Did you remember your news segment or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the only one is that Ryan Gosling. Well, I guess it was last night, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
He was the host.
did you watch
Um,
it?
I I did not watch it. I probably will, just because I'm a fan of his. I'm not a fan of SNL really nowadays. I don't care for the cast or anything like that anymore. But I'll still check it out for him. I have seen a few of the more recent episodes though. Like I saw when Sydney Sweeney was on. I
Mhm.
saw the one where Jacob Elordi was on. Um, Maybe one or two others. But yeah, I'll probably check it out. What about you? You have any interest?
We don't really get SNL here, so I've
Yeah,
seen clips of it on online when people repost it and make memes, but I haven't
yeah,
really seen a lot about this. I have seen about like Ryan Gosling's previous appearance. There were a lot of like
yeah.
funny bits, but with this one, I haven't seen anything yet. It might change, but yeah, I don't know if it wasn't as good as people aren't as excited about it because I just haven't
I
seen
think
anything yet.
people aren't as excited about SNL anymore. Like it used to be a big deal. Now nobody cares because no one knows anybody in the cast except Keenan Thompson, who's still like hanging around. He's the only
Mhm,
one like worth mentioning, but no one knows who these people are or cares, and they're not really funny. And the
mhm,
writing has gone down. Like it's just not a good program anymore.
yeah.
But his like one of his early ones, he has a hilarious sketch, whichever it is.
Mhm.
Um, in one of the early ones called Papyrus, where he's like analyzing the Avatar font and he realizes the font of Avatar is Papyrus,
They made a
and it's like
that's what I saw. They made a second, like a sequel to Papyrus.
for this new episode
For this new
or
one,
like a
that's what I
few.
saw, like Papyrus 2, and I didn't know what it was.
Okay, see, and this is what I mean about the new writers' room at SNL sucking ass. They can't even come up with new fucking sketch ideas. They're making a sequel to a sketch.
Yeah.
Let me say
Papyrus
that
2.
again, folks. SNL Writers Room are writing sequels to their own sketches now. And they are also stealing sketches. They're stealing ideas from other podcasts and other comedians. That's a fact. It's been proven.
Yeah.
They stole a whole idea from the This Is Important podcast. Shout out to them. Very funny dudes. That's like Adam Devine and the whole Workaholics gang of people. Hilarious podcast. They're always improvising, doing hilarious bits on there. And SNL did steal a sketch from them
Yeah.
that they came up with just as a joke. But that is insane. That is disgusting to me. I'm probably not going to watch now, to be honest with you, just to take a
I really
stand. I'm
agree.
all yeah, no, that's fucking disturbing. That's awful.
That's the only thing I saw, like, there was nothing. I just saw Papyrus 2, Ryan Gosling, and I was like, What's that?" And I saw it's an SNL sketch, and I didn't watch the first one, so I might
The
watch the
first
first
one I
one.
recommend. The first one's
Yeah,
very good.
I
Maybe the second
really
is too, but I won't watch it. So
I'll let you know what it's like. I'm gonna watch both of them after this episode just to see
okay.
if it sounds funny, him analyzing.
Yeah, the first one's amazing.
But maybe
But
for the
yeah, no,
second,
I
maybe Avatar 2, maybe he analyzes the font of that.
hilarious.
But yeah, have you watched anything like interesting in the last couple days?
I I actually have. I've seen a couple movies I want to mention.
Mhm.
Two of which are new releases. I'm trying now, like earlier in the year, each Tuesday, AMC is only $5. So let me just go in there every Tuesday, $5. Let me just see whatever's new, just whatever it is, whatever the best thing is. This Tuesday, I'll go see Civil War and see how that turns out, which is pretty divisive from what I've heard. We can talk about that next week. Maybe both of us will have seen it by that point, maybe. Um,
Yeah, I might. I might actually. I think I'm going on
yeah.
either Sunday or Monday next week. So,
Okay, then maybe the next episode, but we'll talk about it soon. But pretty divisive from what I'm kind of reading from people. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm excited to see it. Um, but I went last Tuesday and I saw the First Omen, the new prequel to the First Omen film.
mhm.
Um, it's directed by a lady named Arkasha Stevenson, who I think this is her debut feature. I think she did some like anthology stuff or some like horror TV kind of stuff. Um, and this movie is actually pretty fucking good. Like I can't lie, like I have no idea who on earth asked for an Omen prequel in 2024, but I'm
Mhm.
so happy they did because I think I mentioned this on the pod a few weeks ago. I saw Immaculate maybe a month ago, the Sydney Sweeney nun movie. And
Mhm.
there's this weird like new like nun exploitation horror craze going on.
Yeah.
Um I mean, this one really blows Immaculate out of the water. And I thought Immaculate was like a decent movie, but this I was like, this had no business actually being as dope as it was, I think. Like it was super tense. There are some scenes in it that are so out of pocket wild that I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? It was crazy. And an actual good story and a good cast. The lead girl, Nell Tiger Free, she was in that M. Night Shyamalan show. What was it? The Servant, I think is what it was called.
Mhm.
She plays like a nanny who like tries to steal a baby. I watched the first like season or two of that.
Mhm.
It also has the dude from The Witch, Ralph Ineson,
The father?
also from like The Green Knight, the father. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he's great.
yeah. I think he was in The Northman as well, just a Robert Eggers homie. But
Mhm.
he's in it too. Yeah, it's a good cast, good story, entertaining as hell, good horror movie. I would honestly recommend checking it out. I actually had a really good time, and again, no idea who asked for this prequel, but very glad they did. Have you heard anything about this movie?
Well, I wanted to ask you, have you seen all the Omen films?
No, so I've only seen the original Omen, and this one. I never saw any of the two sequel. I think there was two other sequels, maybe
I think
three, but
I think two or three. I think there's two, and this is like the
I think
third.
so.
Well, I guess prequel, but
This would
I
be the
s-
fourth, I guess, technical
yeah, I
film,
only
I think.
saw the original one as well. I think two Spooktovers ago, and I really liked it, and I wanted to watch two and three,
Yeah.
but I didn't get to it because I wanted to see where this continues because I heard like he's gonna become well, I guess it's the ending of the first one in a way. So spoilers if you haven't seen that, but
Yeah.
he gets adopted by like the president or something, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly. So I want to see
Yeah,
where it
something like
goes
that.
from there. But yeah, I've heard good things about the prequel, and I definitely want to check it out. I'm not gonna go to see it in theaters probably because I think it's
Yeah.
leaving pretty soon, so I won't be able
Yeah.
to. And there's so much good stuff coming out, but I'll definitely watch it as soon as it hits like home release, and then maybe go through all the films because I'm curious. And this sounds super like stylish and cool. And yeah, from what you're saying right now, I think it's definitely like an interesting one to check out, even though we don't really need a Omen prequel, but
Yeah.
still cool.
It is cool. And I just like that there are these like movies that are getting like actual like wide releases like this and Immaculate that are
Mhm.
like have such out of pocket shit in it that it's just like even this and Immaculate both, like the kind of like twist or like premise or whatever of it that's like underneath it all is
Mhm.
so just like jaw-droppingly weird that it's kind of insane that it's being made in 2024.
Mhm.
So very excited, very, very, very excited for that and for people to see it. But yeah, it made me interested to go check out the other sequels. And I guess Sam Neill is in the third one playing Damien, like as a grown up,
Oh yeah,
from what
yeah,
I've seen. So I wanna
some
I want to
pictures.
check that out. And I think he is like the president in that or something. Like from the poster, he's like in a
Mhm.
suit. Maybe he's just a business. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um,
Have you? Like speaking of non-exploitation films, have you ever seen that film Benedetta? I think it's called.
Okay, no, I haven't. Paul Verhoeven, his like last movie, or maybe the movie prior to that. Did you see it?
I did, and I
Okay,
think it's definitely one you, if you're like in this
yeah.
non-exploitation thing right now, definitely check out that one. It's fantastic.
Okay, I've heard it's really good. I've also heard people say it's complete garbage, but that's just Verhoeven in general. Everyone either absolutely loves him and thinks he's a genius, or other people are like this is the worst film that has ever been made ever. Um, I got to check that out. Um,
Mhm.
one other movie that I do want to mention very quickly, and actually looking at Letterboxd here, I actually watched a lot in the last week. But again, like I told you, a lot of it's kind of background noise as I'm doing other shit. But another new release that came out direct to Amazon Prime, I actually watched it after our last pod episode last Sunday, is the new John Cena vehicle, Ricky Stenicki.
Yeah,
Um, this movie, again, had no business being as entertaining as it was. I went in with the lowest of expectations, and people online are having a field day with it. And by no means is it like a look, this isn't like a fucking piece of like art house cinema that should be respected and praised and worshipped. But for the whole hour 50 minutes, I was entertained the entire time. I thought John Cena was funny as hell,
it's
just
hilarious.
so good, just a powerhouse. Um, I thought Andrew Santino had some very funny lines in it. Like it was put together well. I was in the plot the whole time. Like I wanted to know what was going to happen. I was fucking with these people and these characters. Again, not a perfect movie, some stupid shit in it, but all in all, I was like, this is a funny, fun movie. And so far, I think it's like my third favorite movie that's come out this year, behind like Dune Part Two and maybe The First Omen. Honestly, I might even put this above The First Omen. I had a really good time watching this.
Dude, sometimes you just need like fun films. Not every film has to be like this high artistic, whatever meaningful film. You sometimes you just want to have fun, and this one looks very
Exactly.
fun. I wasn't sure why so many people are actually destroying it, and I haven't seen it yet, but I want to soon. But I remember this is a very funny story when there were like a couple of set leaks a while ago, and doesn't John Cena like wear a like dress and like
Yeah.
yeah, I
He does
remember.
like drag shows. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like there was a set pic that got leaked, and someone posted it on like some forum, whatever, and people online were really hating on him, being like, "This is what America and the media is doing to real men. They're starting to dress like women," and everyone was like correcting those people, like, "This is from a film," and these people didn't
Yeah.
realize it. They were just like, "This is what America
Oh,
is doing.
really?
This is what gendering is doing," and things like that. It was just so funny seeing those people have a meltdown over like a set
Yeah.
pick for a comedy film starring John Cena. And I
Yeah.
just remembered that from that film. So just for that alone, I love this film and I love what John Cena did because he's a funny guy. He is honestly,
He's so funny. He's so
yeah,
underrated in terms of like his comedy chops, I feel like. And
he's like great
it makes
comedian.
a lot Yeah, it makes a lot more sense now in a way that he did that whole costumes bit for the Oscars. Remember when
Mhm.
he like came out naked and he's like, "This is for costumes," which by the way was great delivery on it. Like that whole delivery on his part was just great
Super fun.
timing, very funny.
Mhm.
But it makes sense because in this movie he's wearing a shit ton of different costumes.
Mhm.
Um, and for those who are unaware of like what this movie is, Ricky Stenicki, it's these three guys. It's Zac Efron, Andrew Santino, and what's this third guy's name? Jermaine Fowler. The three of them are like homies who have for their whole life, whenever shit has gone bad or anything has gone wrong or they wanted to get out of a situation or something, they have always blamed this like fictional person named Ricky Stenicki.
Mhm.
They're like, oh, we can't go to the baby shower because Ricky Stenicki is in the hospital. Or when they were kids, like they accidentally set this house on fire. So they wrote the name Ricky Stenicki on like a t-shirt or something that they left at the crime scene.
Uh-huh.
So when it comes time that the families of all these people like needs to meet this guy Ricky Stenicki, there's like a baby shower, like Andrew Santino's about to have a baby, whatever it was.
Mhm.
They find this John Cena character who is an actor in Atlantic City to play the part, and he takes it very, very seriously. and it's very funny. Like it's a very funny movie, and yeah,
Mhm.
cannot recommend Ricky Stenicki enough. And honestly, shout out to Amazon for putting this out. And William H Macy also is in it and is very funny in it as well.
Dude, Amazon is making some great films. They're really
Oh yeah,
like making moves big time, especially after acquiring MGM. And
yeah.
they're making great stuff for that platform, which I'm very excited for. A lot
Which
of
I will say is crazy, like watching those movies now when the MGM logo pops up, because then
Mhm.
underneath like this like classic logo says an Amazon company. It's like
They
this
have
is like a
set that finger.
satire.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like a satire at this point. But
Mhm.
yeah, did you watch anything this week? I know you said you didn't have a chance to watch too much, but
I didn't really like there were a couple of rewatches, and for the most part, I didn't really get to anything because I was studying. But I'm gonna start actually, I think either tonight or tomorrow, or like I guess on Tuesday, I'm gonna start a little Ozu marathon, which I'm super excited
ooh,
for. So I'm gonna get into like a bunch of Ozu films.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, super excited for that. And I might see Evil Does Not Exist tomorrow. I wanted to watch it on Friday, but we missed the screening, unfortunately. So I didn't see it, but I might go tomorrow to finally watch that one, and then I'll let you know how that one is.
yeah. I'm curious. I that's the dude from Drive My Car. That's his new
Yep.
movie. It sounds like
So
a horror film. Like when you said that initially, I was like, wait, hold on. That sounded crazy that Dino was like, oh, I got to go see this like horror film right now. I was like, wait, what? And then I checked. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's the Hamaguchi or what's his name? Hamaguchi?
I think so. I don't know
Something like that.
anything about this film. I just saw the poster. I'm like, this looks insane. And then I saw driving my car, and I really liked it. And then I was like,
Yeah,
I need to just for the poster alone. I'm a poster supporter. If you make great poster,
yeah,
I'm gonna watch your film.
one hundred
I don't.
percent, one hundred
Yep.
percent.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be watching a lot of Japanese films in the next couple of weeks.
Ooh,
And
fuck
then
yeah,
Ozu. Yeah.
excited. Well, we'll get into that deep then next week. Should we
Mhm.
just go ahead and pop into our movie of the week, Drive?
Let's drive.
All right, let's drive. Let's do it.
Yeah. So you want to? I guess it's hard for this one because this film has been talked about so much. And for the plot, I mean, Ryan Gosling, he's a getaway driver for criminals, and by day he's working as like a stunt driver on films. And then he meets a neighbor played by Carey Mulligan, who he falls in love with, but she has a husband played by Oscar Isaac, and he comes back from prison. He has to do a job. Things go south, and yeah, that's pretty much the plot. Not to get lost too much
Yeah.
into it. But yeah, this, I mean, you watched it like fresh, me as well. This was your, how many times have you watched this film in your life? Do you know approximately?
Maybe like 3 or 4 times prior to like this is maybe my fourth or fifth time watching, if I had to
Yes,
guess. Like I've
same
seen
for
it a
me.
fair amount, but not like an insane amount of times.
So it's not like for most people, this is like one of the best films regarded. Is it the same for you? Is it one of your favorite films? Do you have like a special connection to it, or
Uh, like in general, or like in terms of Gosling.
just in general?
Yeah, I mean it's not one of my favorite movies ever. I kind of like I like Refn is like an interesting director where his movies are like super unique and whatnot. It's probably my favorite of his movies for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't think I have like an intrinsic like connection to this movie or anything like super like emotional connected to it. Apart from me just being like, oh, this is really dope, and every time I see it, I'm always like, yeah, I kind of forgot like how there's always new things that I kind of see in it, which is neat. But yeah, no, it's a great movie, solidly made. But yeah, I don't think I really have like a serious connection to it. What about you?
Not a serious connection. I definitely like this film a lot, and it's my favorite Nicholas Winding Refn film. And I did like I have funny enough I have the book, and last time we
Oh,
talked
neat.
about this because it's based on a book. Have you ever read the book for this or
No,
like
and
heard?
honestly, I didn't even realize it was based on a book until today.
Yeah, I think the last time you said that it's a remake, which I also like always thought about because we'll talk about the other film later. But I also like had or thought that this was a remake, but it's more inspired by it. But this book by James Salis is actually like the
Hmm.
inspiration for this film. Came out
Okay.
in like 2004, 2005, something like that. And it's like very much a faithful adaptation to this one. And he also
Okay.
wrote a sequel, which I haven't read yet, but I really want to. And I could see like in a couple of years, maybe Refn going back, picking up Gosling, and they might make a sequel to this. But I'm not sure if it's like even worth telling. But yeah, speaking of like books, how like you previously said, I'm definitely gonna read the second one. But yeah, it's a very funny situation because there's a film very similar to this, which we'll get into later. But yeah, it's just based on this one.
Yeah, it looks neat. I had no idea that it was a book, which I was doing some reading on it afterwards, and it seems the book seems more interesting because of the structure that they use in order to tell the story. I guess it's really nonlinear. And I guess the screenwriter for Drive, Hossein Amini, I guess he kind of had some struggles like trying to put it together at first into like a more linear thing.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm interested. I saw that there was a sequel book called Driven,
Driven, yeah.
um, which is an awful title, I think, for like a sequel to Drive. Driven is kind of corny, but um, I'm interested in reading the book to see the differences. Do you have a preference in terms of like the storytelling structure? Do you like it more linear like this, or do you prefer it in the book?
Definitely the film. The book,
Okay.
it's definitely like faithful to the book, but the book, like you said, it has a different structure and it is a little bit harder to follow. I didn't struggle too much with it, but I think in the film it's executed a lot better. And so I'm just curious to, I don't know when the second book came out, if it came out after the success of the first film, if he changed
Hmm.
how he approaches, how he writes, and where the story goes. But yeah, definitely prefer the film because of how much style this film has, and especially like on rewatch right now, a couple hours ago, that opening is like one of the best film openings, honestly, for me. It's just dripping, like oozing with so much style, and the music is incredible, and definitely like on rewatch, like that opening definitely like got even better for me, and the rest
Oh
of the
yeah.
film got a little bit worse, to be honest. It wasn't as good as I remembered, but that opening just, dude, that's
Does the book
masterclass.
does the book open the same, like just in the middle of the car chase, or the getaway rather?
I don't remember. I read the book that
Okay.
it was a long time ago,
Oh,
so I
okay,
don't
okay.
remember how it opens. And I think they changed it like that, where he drives to like the Lakers, like Staples Center, to
Yeah.
get away. I don't think that's in the book if I remember correctly, but
Okay.
I might like my memory is not good enough to
That is
make
a
that
great
clear.
touch though.
Yeah, I
It's a
love
great
that.
touch. Yeah,
Yep.
he's listening to the game, the Clippers game on the radio, times it
Mhm.
up perfectly, goes in there, already has the game. It's an amazing scene.
Mhm.
Um, and the music, I'm glad you mentioned the music because the music kind of made me laugh this time around. The music is great, but it's so every song is so on the nose. Like
Yeah.
it's like literally just saying exactly what's happening. Like when the Under Your Spell is playing, when Carrie Mulligan's husband shows up and she's thinking of Ryan Gosling, and
Mhm.
the real human being or real hero or whatever is playing when
Yep.
he's driving the kid around. It's so on the nose, but it fits like because this whole all feels like very dreamlike. It's all feels like a dream in a weird sort of way. Like it doesn't quite feel like in our same reality, which is what I
Mhm.
like in movies. I like where there is an air of like it taking place in a different world or universe. And it's not like an intense way where you watch like a David Lynch movie and you're like, oh, this is so obviously surreal. But like this is very subtly. There are just certain things. And I feel like that it delivered a sort of campiness that I think actually helped the storyline a lot because what it does, and something that I found really interesting this viewing that I never thought of before, is that this Gosling character is very boyish. Like he really is kind of juvenile in a way.
Mhm.
Like there is this like innocent boyishness to him. And when there's this music playing, it makes it feel cartoonish. It makes it feel um not fairy tale, but what's the like the songs you sing to kids? I don't know why I'm blanking on the word, but it'll come to me later, I'm sure. But it just seems like it's from a child's perspective in a weird way, and especially with the music, like it feels like children playing in a very adult world, in a good way, like in a good way, and it's just a completely different. um like angle that I hadn't really seen it before. I thought it was a lot more gruff and intense and a lot more like self-serious. And I found that it wasn't as serious as I maybe remembered it and was a lot more juvenile, like in a good way. He maybe didn't intend that at all, but that's kind of the way that I read it.
For sure, and I always
Lullaby.
liked that
Lullabies was the word I was thinking of.
what was it?
Like lullabies, you know, when you sing like
Mm,
lullabies, these like
yeah,
kitty kind of songs. That's what they kind of feel like, oh, you're a real hero and a human
mm,
being too. Like it
yeah,
just sounds very juvenile and funny.
but I liked it about, like, reference films in general, even though his other films are definitely, like, more brutal, especially, like, The Neon Demon and Only God Forgives, but they always have, like, this fantasy aspect to them because these are real worlds, they're real people, but it always feels a little detached from
Yeah.
reality in that way, which I love, and especially with The Neon Demon, he I like the way he I like the way he portrays LA because LA definitely feels like a character here,
Hmm.
LA at night, I should say. And I love the way he shoots LA at night. I don't think there are a couple other films which I'll get into with my picks that do it
Yeah.
very well as well, but I just love the style of this and how he like directs this, which this criminal underworld LA neon filled night. But yeah. Do you have a favorite scene or like favorite moment, favorite character, something like that?
I mean, the opening scene is the best scene, I think, for
Agree.
sure. But and honestly, there are parts like where like Nino or whatever his name, like when they come in, like it's honestly starts to get a little confusing. Like I can't even like not really track. Like after the whole Christina Hendricks, like which I do like that scene as well. That scene is really sick. But after that, like is involved and whatnot, like then I
Mhm,
start to kind of lose track of exactly wait, who is she with and why did they do that?
mhm.
Which a lot of noirs do, and that's kind of just part of it. Like it's meant to be a little convoluted at times, but I think apart from the opening, I like that Christina Hendricks scene, and um, I didn't remember quite how brutal her death scene was either. I had to run that shit back. I was like, wait, whoa, like it just kind of happened so quickly. I was like, oh, that really happened. Like they shot that shit.
Mhm.
Props to them. Very gruesome, bloody, brutal scene. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, kind of forgot about that. What about you?
A couple of ones, like there are a couple of brutal scenes that totally forgot. I didn't remember how much there's a guy in the elevator, and I forgot like
Yeah,
how brutal that is
hard
with
he
like
goes.
yeah, how hard it goes, and the scene with what's his Breaking Bad, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston, he's in that as well. When he dies, like when he just takes like the other guy takes the knife and just
Yeah,
runs it across his arms, like that's it, no more pain, it's over. That was very brutal, and I definitely forgot about. But yeah, as for my favorite scene, definitely the opening. Like that opening
yeah.
just made me fall in love with this film again, and it's just so well crafted, and I think that's definitely the soundtrack. I don't really like that song, like "We Are Human Beings and the Real Heroes." Like I never
Yeah.
liked that song, honestly. It's like the song jam, but that Nightcore song, the one that plays for like the opening credits,
Yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
so good. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely like
It's
that opening.
the original music is fantastic. Like, the original music that's, like, composed, what's it did Martinez, the one homie Martinez who's done, did he do the music as well? Cliff Martinez, that's his name.
Mhm.
Um, incredible. I think this is the first time they maybe collaborated together, him and, Refn. Um, whoa, and I just realized Cliff Martinez was the original drummer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I had no idea.
Didn't
Wow,
know that either.
interesting. Um, but yeah, the original music is incredible. But yeah, the soundtrack itself gets a little goofy, but I think it kind of works. I think it kind of creates this like campy mood that really helps it out a lot. Um, but yeah,
In in the
yeah,
context of the film,
um,
for sure. And like you said, sometimes when it feels a little cartoonish, that Nino character, he's just I forgot about like how hilarious he is and his performance.
yeah, it's hilarious.
So funny when he's like, what does he say with the car? pussy vehicle or something like that. I
Oh
remember
yeah, the, it's when he looks, he's like, "That's a grade A pussy mobile," or something like
pussy
that.
mobile. That is, and
Yeah.
then he said like that guy wouldn't find pussy in a brothel. That also
Yeah.
that was very funny. Yeah.
I will say the Albert Brooks character, was really, really, oh, no, here it is, hold on, I had to pull up the quote. "Now that is one motherfucking fine ass pussy mobile, motherfucker." That's the exact quote of what it was.
The way he
Um,
says it is just
it's
great
so
performance.
good.
Yep.
Um, but I will say the Albert Brooks character, every single time I see it, is like really kind of a standout for me though. I think
Mhm.
he might, like, apart from RG obviously, I think Albert Brooks like gives far and away the best performance in this because such a funny dude in real life and is like obviously known for like comedies, but he is very fucking intimidating in this movie and almost feels like the like I mean no, not even almost feels like, but like he is easily the most intimidating person in this entire movie. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to give some flowers to him because I thought that that was just an amazing performance that I kind of had forgotten about just how good it was.
Same. I think that's a lot of these little moments in the film that I sort of forgot. There's these bigger ones with the hammer and the elevator, like those scenes, but all in all, every time I watch it, there's like you said, like a little couple things that you forget but then shine so much more. And
Hmm.
definitely that. Yeah. And the
Yeah,
ending,
he
like
was.
Mhm.
No, I was just saying. I was looking to see if he was nominated for anything. But yeah, he it was best supporting actor for the African American Film Critics Association winner Albert Brooks. And Drive won top 10 movies of the African American Film Critics Association. That's kind of insane.
Interesting. Was there
Wow.
even like isn't I don't think there was a single African American character in this film. Was there?
No, I don't think so. No, I literally don't think there's one. And right above too, it says that Complex Magazine like got pissed off at the movie for turning the Carrie Mulligan character white. I guess she was like Puerto Rican or something in the book, or Latina of some kind.
I think I remember that. I think she was actually. That
Yeah,
rings.
yeah.
I guess they made Oscar
Um,
Isaac. His character still was, but then yeah, they turned her. That's true. Yeah.
yeah. People will find anything to get mad at. But yeah, no, I don't think there was a single black person in this movie.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if there's ever been a single black person in any Nicholas Winding Refn movie ever, to be honest with you.
Now that you say that, actually,
But moving on anyway. Do you have any final kind of last thoughts on Drive before we get into our literally me movies?
well, like I said, this is the one that started it all. That gave Ryan Gosling that status of literally me, and his character is a lot of fun to watch, even though he seems to be like on the spectrum. I think a lot of people make jokes about that. He's not as social. He struggles with that, and every time a
Hmm.
character tries to talk to him, like he just doesn't respond. He just like looks at something else, which was funny. But I like how he treats the kid, like the Carey
Yeah.
Mulligan's son. Like he's just always sweet to him. And this one scene where Oscar Isaac's character like got beat up, and he's like
Hmm.
all bloody. Ryan Gosling like, immediately just goes to the kid and asks if he's all right, and kind of ignoring Oscar Isaac with that. And
Yeah, I love that moment.
yeah, I like that he's like very protective of him. And I remember if like in the book it goes more into his backstory, what happened to him as a child. But you can definitely
Okay.
see like the way he protects this child, like children, um, that he definitely has a heart for them. And yeah, a great film, like I said, oozing with style, and that's definitely makes this film just so incredible and the cult status that it has. Because I remember when was the first time you watched it? Did you watch it when it came out in theaters or after?
Mm, I definitely didn't see it in theaters, but I probably saw it shortly after, maybe 2012 or 2013, maybe I watched it.
Same for me because I remember that it it wasn't as mainstream when I watched it. There was like among film fans, it was this film that was like a hidden gem. People were talking about,
Hmm.
oh, this Ryan Gosling film is like a hidden gem, and of course, film enthusiasts were talking about this film. But then shortly after I watched this film, like it exploded, and there were
Yeah.
memes everywhere, and everyone was talking about it. And now it definitely has this cult status acquired, which I think is great because it's a very very cool film. And we talked about last time about like George Clooney's problem, what you said, lack of style. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicholas Winding Refn definitely makes up for it. Maybe too much for some people, but for me, it's a sweet spot. It's right there. But yeah, do you have any
Yeah.
final thoughts?
No, I think I kind of said everything. And to just bounce off your point, in fact, like I actually found this to be even less stylish than I remembered in a weird way. Like it almost has this reputation that it is just like, which it is, where it's just like completely drenched in just like this neon. I'm like, it is, but like Only God Forgives is way more over the top, I thought, in terms of style than this. But my own memory of it was that
Mhm.
like, every single shot is neon and it's just pure. And I was like, oh no, it was a lot more grounded and natural than I had remembered it being, at least.
Yeah,
Um,
same. Except
yeah,
for the opening, like the opening, like opening
yeah,
sequence. That's with the most style. A lot of like neon, and I
yeah.
love those like the pink and that where you have like LA by night and then the pink Ryan Gosling
Oh yeah,
driving cast and crew and
yeah.
things like that. I just think that looks incredible.
It was amazing. Um, but yeah, should we get into our? Oh no. Well, first off, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10 hammers, maybe he really put that hammer to use. How much
Mhm.
is this character of the driver literally you?
Well, I have a driver's license and I like to drive at night, so that'll give him a couple more points. But he's definitely like very socially awkward. Not awkward, but like he doesn't get the social
Inept.
cues. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I have to take it down a couple points again. So I might give him a 6 just because like he is a good guy.
yeah,
He protects people. He has a heart for like his neighbor and their child and things like that. And yeah, but like the driving, definitely like driving at night just feels different. It hits
yeah. It
it hits
does.
hard, especially with that soundtrack. So yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
why I'll give him a 6. What about you?
I think I'm a match you and also give him a 6 as well. Completely, like we said, not even socially awkward, just completely socially inept, has absolutely no capabilities. Um, but he has a good head on his shoulders, and he does everything for the right reason. It seems like.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna give him a 6 as well.
Which I think for most people it would be way higher, especially with the memes. Like a lot of people hold this as
They would
like
say
the
a
Ryan
10,
Gosling,
yeah,
and oftentimes it's ironic, like Patrick Bateman for sure.
for
But
sure.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, let's get into.
But let's
Mhm.
get into it. Do you want to kick it off with the first of your
I
4
can.
movies? I know we had mentioned, I guess before we get into it, last week we mentioned that we might have some in common, or you might guess. Like, did you have any particular approach? Because I ended up changing mine almost entirely.
Mhm.
I tried to stay away from some of the ones that I felt like we might just pick, because there are some that are completely obvious, um, that I feel
Baby
like may
Driver.
come up regardless. Um, but yeah, do you have any kind of approach or anything in particular to picking these?
So I had my list made before I even like before we even like before I rewatched it, and I think even before our last film. So I had a couple films that I thought were great, and it's a mix, honestly. Like it definitely gets like that night feeling of cities.
Hmm.
Have that. I also have a couple characters where I could see Ryan Gosling's character being like that could be literally him, but I struggled a
Yeah.
little bit with that. So and then there's one very obvious one, but I think the other three might not be as obvious or might actually be because they're not obvious. But yeah, but for example, like Baby Driver, I
Hmm.
didn't include in my list, but that's an obvious one that is just like super similar and makes for a great watch after this one. But the first one is The Driver, which we mentioned last time, which
Yeah.
actually isn't a remake, which it's still like this is the first time I watched it. I ordered it on Blu-ray to watch it because I had it on my list for a long time because I thought it was a like the original one or but you can definitely see the inspiration for it. and it's definitely different enough to where it makes sense that it's not a remake, but also it's close enough where it also doesn't make sense that it's not a remake. But with this film, you also follow like a getaway driver, and he's not a stuntman in this, I think. So he's
No, he's
just like
just a getaway driver.
getaway driver, like the best one. But he also has that rule with like 4 or 5 minutes, and if you're late, I'm out of here. So you can see the inspiration that Winding Refn took from it, and maybe even the book. Like I could see James Salas, the author of the book, being inspired by this film. And yeah, the film has like your boy Ryan O'Neal in it, who gives
Hmm.
a great performance. He's great in it, and also an actress that I really like, Isabella Adjani,
Yeah,
who's in Possession and a bunch of
possessed
other
for
films.
possession. Yeah.
Possession and also the Nosferatu, like the Werner Herzog Nosferatu film, which is an incredible performance by her. And yeah, you have this like night-filled LA. You have those getaway, but it's different in a way, and you can see with this one the inspiration. Like there's a lot of Le Samurai inspiration in this, with Isabella Johnny's character being the one who has to like identify the getaway driver. With Le Samurai, you also have that woman who
Hmm.
identifies him, but then says she didn't see him, and then there's like a little romance thing between them. And the ending of this film, which I'm not gonna give away, is also like a very iconic and great ending. And I loved watching this. And I remember you said that you watched it like somewhere where the quality was complete shit.
Yeah, awful. I've never seen like a proper like good restored cut of this movie ever.
Yeah, which is sad because I got like the 4K restored version, and it's a beautiful film. It's like just gorgeous to look at. Like I said, those night LA vibes driving around, like it just looks amazing. And it's a great film. And I hope one day, maybe I'll look out for like a Blu-ray I can give you when you come here, a
I know
region free one.
I got to get an imported or a region free player. Or when
Mhm.
I'm up there, we gotta put it on. Take it somewhere where we can get a screen and put it on there so I can see it in all its glory.
Hell yeah, because you have to. I think this is definitely one that just benefits from seeing it in like the best like version, best quality version out there.
Yeah,
And it was very interesting watch, and I liked it a lot. But I like Drive more now that I rewatched it.
interesting. Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
remember? Because I think it was a while ago that you watched it.
yeah.
Do you
I
like the movie Drive?
so I've seen Drive way more. So I feel like, and again, I didn't see the driver with like good quality. Like I mean, like 360p type quality. Like it was
Damn. Okay.
asinine, like really
Mhm,
bad.
mhm,
So I feel like I can't say, but I really enjoy the fact that I really enjoyed the driver as much as I did while watching it essentially through like a fucking microwave. It was, I feel like that means something.
mhm,
But I really enjoyed it, and like to go back to last week when I mentioned that it was kind of a remake. It's not that it's really like a proper remake of the driver, as much
mhm,
as it is just a completely obvious like Refn wanted to make the driver. It is obvious like he wanted to make that movie, and then came across this book and he goes, "Okay, this is a great playground for me to just kind of make that movie. I wish that I would have made essentially."
mhm,
Where he takes these ideas, like you mentioned, the whole 5 minute thing, the way that it's shot, the character is practically almost the same kind of person.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, great. That's a great movie. And a great pick. I did have it on an initial uh list of mine, but I knew that I didn't have the opportunity to watch it again like proper,
Yep.
since I didn't see it properly to begin
Mhm.
with. So I'm glad you brought it up, and I knew you were going to mention it because you just got the disc. So I was curious to hear you talk
Yeah,
about it.
I had to mention this one, especially because I ordered the Blu-ray just for this to finally watch it. And like I said, this was an obvious one, but worth mentioning. But yeah,
Yeah.
what's your first
Hell
pick?
yeah. So my first one was a movie that I had seen maybe a year or two ago during Noir Vember.
Mhm.
And I didn't even think about adding it to the list until today, when it just kind of hit me over the head as like being sort of an obvious pick. And that is the 1942 movie This Gun for Hire, directed by a guy named Frank Tuttle. who directed some other kind of like noirs and genre films for that time. And it's starring Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake. And I think this is like the first like proper Alan Ladd starring role.
Mhm.
Um, and it is just so good. Like it's a very slept on noir. It's completely underrated. This for Noirvember this year, I highly recommend you throw this one in the list if you have not seen this already. To you,
Mhm.
Dino, and to the listeners at home. Um, but essentially, Alan Ladd plays this like a hitman. He's like a killer for hire who he pulls off this job, but he gets paid in marked bills. And the employer who paid him in these like marked bills reported it to the police that it had been stolen. So he's given this money that he can't use, and he's been like double crossed.
Mhm.
And essentially, he kind of uh, he has to now hide from the police because he's been ratted out. But he also goes on this like quest of revenge because he has been set up by his employer. And it's the same kind of thing where he is like a pretty brutal dude, but he also hides it pretty well and works in a lot of silence and only uses words when he must use words. And it's to me, I feel like Jean Pierre Melville, to mention this movie that I knew was going to come up regardless, and you already mentioned, he had to have seen this before he made Les Samurai. Like he had to have seen this movie prior. It's there are a lot of parallels to this in Les Samurai, uh, which obviously Les Samurai and Drive also share a lot of parallels.
For sure.
I mean, really, you can look at it. Drive was taking a lot from The Driver. The Driver's taking a lot from Les Samurai. Les Samurai is taking a lot from This Gun for Hire. So to kind of trace it back that way, and not saying that they're all immediate descendants of one another, but
Made by
there are parallels
right.
to each one
Yeah.
exactly. But I highly recommend this movie. It's fucking awesome. I might even throw it back on later today if I have the time, just because it
Mhm.
kind of sparked back in my mind. I was like, that movie was so good, um, and is deeply underrated. So that's my first one. This Gun for Hire,
This can
1942.
fire. I have to watch it like
Yeah.
if not soon, then definitely in November
Oh, you got
because
to. I think you'll like it a lot.
yeah, it sounds amazing and I love the samurai, so films that are sort of in that way or like take inspiration from it or inspire it definitely like films that I have to check out.
Oh yeah. What's your number two?
I'm actually just gonna put that on the watch list. Okay,
Yeah,
so
do it.
my second one is William Friedkin's To Live and Die in LA, which is one of my favorite films of all time, honestly. I absolutely love this film, and I'm sure you've seen it. Um, and what I
Yeah.
like about this film, so immediately you have with Drive, you have LA by nighttime, and giving us one of like some of the best LA nighttime shots. This one gives us like LA with sunrise and sunsets because the sunrise and sunset shots in this film are incredible. And you have this film that is it has Willem Dafoe as honestly my favorite performance by his and a very overlooked one
Interesting.
because of Willem Dafoe, people always look to like The Lighthouse, which makes sense because that performance is incredible. You have Green Goblin, his Norman Osborn. But this film really like he plays a great villain, a great bad guy, called Eric Masters, which is a great name, who prints fake money. Like he is the one of the best guys to do that. And you have these two cops. One is about to retire, and another younger guy who was very corrupt. And the older cop dies going after Eric Masters. And so this young cop he gets a new partner, which does everything by the book. He is very much like a Boy Scout type of guy. Like he has to do everything right, everything correct. While this other guy, like he's very corrupt. Like I said, he goes very brutal routes, and you have this with Drive. You have like this more this criminal perspective. He's not a criminal, but like he's getaway driver, so different in that sense. Even though he has his heart in the right place, here you have someone who like is a cop who should do the right thing, but his heart isn't on the right place as much. So there's this girl that he actually like. I remember I think isn't she a stripper or something like that?
I
She's definitely,
I don't remember.
yeah, but she's struggling to pay her debt, and he's giving her money, but he's also sort of oppressing her to give him information or something like that. And I actually don't want to get too much into it if people haven't seen this film, but then it sort of turns and you have like this great cycle of corruption in the end,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
really like. And you also have a banger soundtrack. I don't remember who did. Do you remember who did
Wasn't
the
it? It
soundtrack?
was Tangerine Dream, wasn't it? Did Tangerine Dream do it?
Wasn't it like Wu Chang or something like that? They were called.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Is it
Wang
Wu Chang? Wang
Wang
Chang?
Chung,
Wang Chang.
Wang
That's
Chung.
great soundtrack, and honestly, like one of probably my favorite William Friedkin directed films. Like I said, one of my absolute favorite ones. And you've seen that one. You wanna give us your thoughts on this film?
Yeah, I know. I love this movie. Robbie Mueller is a great cinematographer. Worked a lot with Wim Wenders,
Yep.
and this is like maybe one of his best looking movies, second to Paris, Texas. But this movie's incredible, best title cards ever, and there's an amazing twist, like towards the like in the last, not even a twist, but like a psycho-esque turn with like the last like 10 minutes that is
Yep.
so like brutal and like abrupt, and it's one of those things where it is, and I'm practically quoting my Letterboxd review at this point, but it's one of those things that really just set Friedkin apart, and I mean, it's a perfect. I mean, this is a perfect transition, um, because my next film is also by William Friedkin, and I thought about it
Oh,
for the
yeah.
exact same reasons, and that's The French Connection, um, where it has this incredible car chase, which To Live and Die in LA also has an amazing car chase.
Oh, yeah.
Um, the French Connection one is right up there, maybe even better, but the live To Live and Die in LA one, it's like he just made it a lot more fresh and was just experimenting on all like the tried and true things he got done in the French Connection. But I feel like it's just impossible to talk about Refn and not mention Friedkin because he's such an obvious influence, and they had such a great relationship, the two of them in real life. Um, if anyone hasn't seen the interview that they have, it is I highly recommend watching the full thing. It's so funny, it's so good the way they riff back and forth, and well, Friedkin is one of my favorite directors of all time, and yeah, I think I mean I considered throwing in To Live and Die in L.A. as well, especially because of it being an L.A. film, and Friedkin. But there was just something about the French Connection where I was like, there was just that I don't know. I picked it, but I easily could have picked To Live and Die in L.A. as well. So I'm glad you mentioned it because the same I could talk at length about either of these movies being great
Yeah.
picks, but
I'm
yeah.
glad you picked The French Connection, so you have those two, because those are just amazing films and very much inspiration to those. But yeah.
Yeah.
Should I get
Well,
my third one
yeah,
then?
what's your
Mhm.
third? Since I was able to kind of sneak in my second one with yours.
Yeah, so my next one also stars Willem Dafoe, and that is Paul Schrader's Light Sleeper, which I picked.
Oh, interesting. Good pick.
You've seen this one.
Of course, I think I'm the one who told you to watch it,
I think it might be, yeah,
if
actually,
I
like
remember
there
correctly.
2
Yeah.
years ago, something like that. But this film is incredible. Also, one of Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is just like one of my favorite actors. He's incredible,
Yeah.
and this is a film that not a lot of people talk about. Not nearly enough people, um, because of like Paul Schrader's films. There are a lot of other films people talk about, and same thing with Willem Dafoe. But this one, it's not set in LA. It's set in New York.
Hmm.
But the character, he is, I think, a drug dealer suffering from insomnia, so he can't get
Yeah.
sleep, which is why it's called light sleeper. And I'm not gonna get too much into the plot because I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling it. Because there's like a big moment in the film that sort of defines this film and where it goes from there. But like just those late night vibes, I think, are very reminiscent of Drive. And the main character, I could see Ryan Gosling, like the driver, watching this guy and being like, oh, that's literally me. Because there's also one scene in Drive where Bryan Cranston's character tells Ryan Gosling like, "You look like shit. You haven't slept," and that made me think of Light Sleeper in hindsight.
Light Sleeper, yeah.
Yeah, so this is why I had to pick this one. Like I said, late night vibes. Paul Schrader's just incredible, and like I said, Willem Dafoe kills it as always. So this is my third pick.
Amazing pick. Love this movie. Maybe my favorite Schrader film. Maybe one of my favorite Defoe role like performances.
Agree.
This might be number one. It's incredible.
Mhm.
Um, great, 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 great pick. Yeah, great movie.
What's your next
Also, one
one?
that I'm due for a rewatch, and I wish that I owned a physical of. I really wish I had a physical of this to watch. It's available
Mhm.
though. I think I could find it. I think it's just a little pricey.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
remember where I actually watched. I think I rented it on Amazon. But yeah, also I think I might buy the Blu-ray soon because I need to rewatch it.
yeah. Okay, so my third pick is maybe the one that makes like the least amount of sense.
Mhm.
But they're okay. I guess I'll just get into it. But it's High Plains Drifter, the Clint Eastwood film from 1973. And it's again, you can go back to the Man with No Name. Like all of this is all they're all kind of this Les Samurai, like they're all kind of cribbing from the same sort of source material, like Yojimbo. Like they're all kind of going back to that. And High Plains Drifter is just a classic Eastwood film. I think it's my favorite performance of his, and it's definitely my favorite movie of his that he's directed. Um, but he is essentially this like lone wolf, like just a complete stranger who comes into this small town, and he like kills like these three outlaws or whatever that are there, um, or they were out to get him, and they come into this town to find him, and he kills all of them, and everyone in this town is like so blown away by this guy that they appoint him to like be like their leader, and they want him to protect them when these like three outlaws like pass through their town that they know are going to come through who are super dangerous. And the movie is essentially like the closest I've seen to like a proper like horror western. And the reason I bring it up is that I feel like this Ryan Gosling character of the driver would look at this Clint Eastwood character, which his name is, I think, also, yeah, it's just the stranger. So he's like
Mhm.
an unnamed character, just like the driver, and he's someone who kind of steps in, protects these people, and then goes away. A very, familiar trope in westerns and with Clint Eastwood in general, but this is just one that is. I mean, it's a great watch. It's super intense. It's very funny, but it feels like a surreal thing. Like, legitimately feels like Clint Eastwood is like in hell, in this place. Like, it's a super interesting film, and I feel like Ryan Gosling in Drive also finds himself like this version of LA almost feels like something that turned from heaven to a very quick hell for him. And I feel like he would watch this and very much relate to this character um, a lot. So yeah, that's a High Plains Drifter from '73.
That's a great parallel with like Ryan Gosling's character. Like he's dragged into this life of this family and like protects them and then leaves in the end. Um,
Yeah,
Actually, like it makes a lot of sense this pick, so I like that a lot.
yeah, hell yeah, highly recommend. But yeah, what's your fourth and final pick?
So my fourth and final pick is one that actually inspired Refn a lot when making this film, and that is Michael Mann's Thief, which
Oh,
again
interesting. Yeah,
has like a sequence in LA during the night, which is also shot very beautifully. But it pretty much it's the story about this guy who cracks safes and gets dragged into these criminal jobs for this guy who I think double crosses him as well. And in the end, you have this spoilers for Thief if you haven't seen it. But I think in the end, there's also like this shot of him just like walking away after everything, like having killed the guy, like the big boss who double crossed him and things like that. And it reminded me of um, of Drive in the end, where he kills the guy, like he leaves the money on the ground and just drives away, and you have sort of like that parallel. And this is one of Michael Mann's best films. It's super stylish. It's super amazing, like the story, the way it flows, and also a very great leading performance by um, James Caan, who I
Oh
really
yeah,
like. As yeah, yeah, that's my fourth pick.
great pick. Love Michael Mann. Love that movie.
I had to bring him up.
Yeah, great pick. I wish it was a little bit lighter on some of the melodramatic relationship kind of stuff,
Mhm.
but it's one of the best looking movies of the '80s, maybe just in general.
Oh yeah.
Um, Incredible. Okay, so my fourth pick. This is actually the first movie that I put on this list, and I think I did this very early on, like when we first started this pod, like doing the Ryan Gosling one. I was like, I always thought Drive would be a good pairing with this movie.
Mhm.
Um, and that's a movie from 1974 by Monty Hellman called Cockfighter, and it's Warren Oates from Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia fame. It came out the same year as Alfredo Garcia. Um, he plays a like a cockfighter in there's somewhere in like Georgia, I think, or South Carolina, but I think it's Georgia, and he takes a vow of silence until one of his like roosters or cocks or whatever wins in a fight. And he goes on this whole journey like through the South, fighting all of these chickens and going to all of these things. And he doesn't say a word whatsoever. And it was very much just on the surface level of being like, oh yeah, neither of these guys like talk like at all. But
Mhm.
the more you think about it, like it's it really is kind of like a somber movie, and it's very rugged. And Warren Oates, like as we know from Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, is just like one of those like real gruff men's men kind of characters. And this is like a character, a role that was like made for him. Um, and he just has this kind of eye on the prize sort of mentality, which is the same with the driver in Drive, where it's there really aren't many distractions. Even though he has this relationship he's building with Carrie Mulligan and the kid, they never really become a distraction as much as mainly like a goal and a prize. Um, and I just feel like he would just look at this character and have some sort of admiration for this Warren Oates character. I think his name is Frank Mansfield in Cockfighter. But very very gritty, very honest, very brutal. Not for everybody. It can be a bit of a tough watch, but
Mhm.
fantastic '70s movie. Yeah, Cockfighter '74.
Yeah, great title. Great title.
Yeah, great title. You want to go through your four picks before we close out here?
Mhm. So my fourth pick were The Driver, To Live and Die in LA, Light Sleeper, and Thief.
Yeah, and mine were This Gun for Hire, The French Connection, High Plains Drifter, and Cockfighter. Um, Great picks this week. I think this might be my favorite set of picks that collectively we've put together.
Mhm. Some great noir films that I always like, a western as
Yeah,
well, which is
yeah,
awesome. And yeah, I think we
and
covered that neon, not really like neon, but like that style that Refn has, like where it came from all these different places. We definitely
one hundred
covered
percent,
of those.
100%. Well, another great episode in the books. Next week we will be moving on down the line. Also, a 2011 release I think came out just before Drive.
Mhm.
And that is Crazy Stupid Love. Very anticipated for me. I have not rewatched this in a long time. Very, 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 very excited to rewatch it again, though. Um, yeah,
I've seen it once before, and that was a long time ago. So I'm very interested to revisit it. And that's the first Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, the first one in their
Collabo.
trilogy that
It
we'll get
is.
into, where it all
It is
started.
where it all started. Looking forward to it. Crazy Stupid Love. We'll be back next week with that. And until then, Dino, talk to you soon. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye bye.